Razaban from FightHype.com with me. I've got trainer of the guy who's going up to weight division.
The guy.
Kell Brook'S.
The guy. I thought everybody didn't know his name by now.
Kell Brook'S, the special one. Just winding up, Dom. How are we doing, Dom, first?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, Dom, we're obviously here for the final press conference for Kell Brook'S and Triple G. All respects all around until I think Abel said 10 weeks of scientific university stuff isn't going to make a big difference with Triple G. What was your...
That'd be alright if it were 10 weeks, but it's not 10 weeks, is it? 10 weeks is not going to change a thing. This is the point, you know. The thing with boxing is, not only have you got to watch what the boxers are doing, you've got to watch what the trainers are doing, what everybody's doing. You know, for the Shawn Porter fight, I didn't really watch a lot of Shawn Porter footage. I just looked what he was doing on Twitter. And his lifestyle, he was all over the place, he was attending this, he was in this football game. And I thought, he's still riding the crest of a wave from his wins, which he would do. And for Abel Sanchez to say, you know, a 10-week scientific program's not going to change anything. No, it's not. But a year of doing it, or 2 years of doing it, is. We first started with this, you know, scientific approach back in 2013, back in the 2012 into 2013 when Kell Brook'S was to fight Devon Alexander. And, you know, he'd had a bit of a scare with Carson Jones in the summer. In the summer, and then he went on to fight. The Argentinian Saldivia in October, and he went into 2013 under the supervision of the university, strength and conditioning program. You know, built him up, built his stamina up, tested where he was. You know, he was slipping up. He was getting through on ability. He was getting through on ability, boxing ability. You know, he was cutting corners in certain places. But you get to a level when you start to cut the corners. It was evident in the Carson Jones fight that you can't get away with cutting corners. So we addressed the situation, we addressed the issues, and you know, we were all ready to go for the Devon Alexander fight. You know, I think Kell pulled out first through injury or whatever, but when we got moving, and we got into around about February, March, a lot of media stuff went out about Kell Brook'S training, a lot of footage of him training, the physique, he's changing his physique, and mysteriously Devon Alexander pulled out of the fight, and the fight never happened. And a lot of people put that down to realising that, you know, Kell Brook'S obviously taken this fight seriously. We carried on with that plan. We had to go another year and a half from that point. And we boxed Shawn Porter, and he boxed Shawn Porter, and he came in the best shape of his life. You know, like I explained in that press conference, we had to take muscle off Kell Brook'S because he got rid of the body fat. There was nothing else to come off apart from dehydration. That was dangerous. So for that Shawn Porter fight, we had to actually strip muscle off him to safely make the weight. You had to go on a diet, a special diet, what enabled him to do that. And as you look, he did 12 rounds standing on his head. And for this fight, we've always had the university on board in the background monitoring. You know, for some fights, like Joe Jordan and Kevin Bezier, it was a very, very simple, basic plan. We didn't need a lot of high-tech stuff. You know, he was competing against guys who were, you know, welterweights. It was more to do with the nutrition side of things, making the weight. And for this program, you know, they've underestimated Kell Brook'S. They think he's a small guy trying to put weight on. He's not. He's never been in a position where he's able to put weight on. He's always had to come down from a weight to make the weight, and he's been making the weight for middleweight. You know what I mean? He's not putting size on, you know, to give him extra strength. He's taking weight off, and in order for him to carry that weight, the difference is when he steps in the ring on Saturday night, instead of getting in the ring maybe at 11:10, you know, having speed and power, he's going to be probably getting in the ring at 12:2. And his cardiovascular system's got to be able to carry that extra weight. He's got to be able to function at that weight. Instead of him bogging him down, it's got to be functional for him. And this is where the process is. This is what, you know, you can't guess this stuff. You can't look at a guy, a trainer, me as a trainer, Abel Sanchez as a trainer, can't look at a boxer and say, oh, this is what we're going to do, we're going to do this different. No, you can't. You've got to monitor him. Instead, you've got to monitor his heart rate, you know, how much oxygen and carbon dioxide is going in and out of his body. There's lots of things. How his lactates profile's looking like. All these kind of things have to be taken into consideration. How much harder is Kell Brook'S having to work to keep this, you know, to keep this weight on him and be able to get through the workout? It's scientific. You can't do it by guessing. So it's not 10 weeks. It's been going on for the last 2 years. So if they've only looked and thought, oh, 10 weeks, yeah, we're just fighting a small guy, great, fantastic. But that's not how it is. So if that's how they've overlooked things or they've looked at things, then they're going to be getting a bit of a surprise on Saturday night. Yeah, Golovkin's always got the leveler of his power, but we know about his power. We know he can punch. We know he can take a shot. So if our game plan was to hit him on the chin, you know what I mean? That's not a good game plan. He can take a shot, you understand? But whether he can handle pressure for 12 rounds, whether he can deal with somebody who's actually coming to win, who's actually been in that ring with ambition to beat Triple G, who has? Nobody's never come up against an unbeaten fighter, I don't think. You know what I mean? Kell Brook, yeah, he's come up against one or two. You know, I think the one being Shawn Porter. And see, well, Shawn Porter's a small guy, but Shawn Porter's a tough guy. And since losing to Kell Brook, he's gone on and beat Adrian Broner, and he's been in decent fights, and he's still back in the mix. And before that fight, if you remember, people are saying he's got no chance. He's mini Mike Tyson. Kell Brook's not got a chance. He's going to get done in. He didn't get done in. He won the fight, and Kell Brook will always find a way to win. So, you know, if I was in the street and a little guy came up to me and started putting it on me and saying, you know, you'd think, does this guy know something I don't know? Surely they've got to be thinking to themselves, why has he took this challenge? You know, I mean, he's unbeaten. He didn't need to take this fight. You know, we could have, you know, hung in there for other fights. But Kell Brook at 30 years old is slowly at his peak. He might be at his peak for another 2 years. We can't have another 2 years of fighting fights what don't motivate him to go through the grind of training camps and dieting. You need to have fear put into you. You need to have ambition. You need the big fights, and we've sidestepped all the, like I said earlier in the press conference, all the, you know, getting through eliminator fights where you could get beaten, doing this fight and doing that fight. You know, Kell Brook's just wants to fight in big fights.
Dom, you've obviously faced Abel in the past before, haven't you? You won all your fights against his fighters in the past.
You know, it's not something I calculate because.
But do you think that's kind of in his?
Not really.
What he had to say wasn't a lot. It was just literally 10 weeks old. Scientific university is not going to. And literally that was
I don't know. Sometimes telling everybody what you plan is not a good thing. Abel's a good trainer. You know, he's a nice guy. He's outspoken at times. I've looked over his resume over, you know, since time. He's competent in what he's doing. There's no two ways about that. But for my 30 years training 30 years training fighters. I'm nearly 50 now. I'm being brought up in the game. I'm watching the fighters coming through. You know, we've had, you know, British champions, 20 British champions, European champions, world champions. You know, however you train a fighter, it can all change when they get in the ring on the night, depending on what the mindset is. And you do get these fighters once in a while, like Golovkin, like Kell Brook, that they will train. But the X factor is what gets them through the fights. When the pressure's on, when they're getting hit, they don't fold, they find a way. So forget about, you know, me beating him or him beating me. You know, he's older than me. You know, I'll probably beat him at 100 metre sprint. I don't know, but it's not about me and Abel Sanchez, or your technique, because he trains fighters just like I do, who aren't as successful as Kell Brook. The plan that works for Kell Brook works for Kell Brook. It could be applied to other fighters. It'll work to them to a certain point, but it's not going to make them into Kell Brook. Just like his training method with Golovkin, it's not going to make his other fighters into Golovkin. It's whatever's going to work. You have to individualise training plans and find out what fighters are best at doing. You know, a lot of people said to me before the Shawn Porter fight, Kell Brook's got no chance, he can't fight on the inside. I said, why are we going to fight on the inside? We're going to fight Kell Brook's fight, not Shawn Porter's fight. So, you know, Abel might think that's a thing. You know, it might be a personal thing. I don't know. For me, it's not. You know, he's a trainer. I'm a trainer. I know. You know, I've trained guys who are like 30 or 40 fights unbeaten. You know, I still go in the corner with them. But I also train Kell Brook as a winner. I also train. You know, I've trained Junior Witter, Johnny Nelson. I've trained them guys. It's how they take the information on board, how they deal with the training program and implement it and carry it through. That's where the skill is.
Dom, I've just got a nudge on the shoulder that you got to go to Sky Sports. So thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. Really appreciate it. I had a couple of more other questions, but we'll catch up with you shortly.
Yeah.
FightHype.com, Dom.